Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. I'm Jay Berkowitz, the author of 10 Golden Rules and the host of over 100 episodes of this weekly podcast. Each week, we have different shows that share great content, and there are different kinds of shows. Some weeks we feature recordings from our monthly webinar series. Other times we have interviews with industry experts. And today I have some really special content featuring Bill Biggs. He's one of the legal industry's most recognized experts on law firm management and law firm culture. Bill's one of the lead experts at Vista Consulting, and he's the CEO or COO for multiple law firms. He's brilliant, he's engaging, and I'm guessing he doesn't sleep too much with all those jobs. This recording comes from our 2024 Growth Strategies for Law Firms conference called TGR Live. We hold this event annually in Boca Raton, Florida. And if you love this presentation, and I'm sure you will, and you'd like to see a video of this presentation and some of the other rock stars like the AI lawyer, Justin Lovely, teaching you how he uses artificial intelligence in his practice, and social media lawyers like Jason Melton, Adam Rawson, and Phil Snyder, and my presentation on artificial intelligence search and Google local service ads, then just go to 10goldenrules.com/TGR Live. That's TEN, 10goldenrules.com/TGR Live, and register to get information about TGR Live 2025. And we'll give you a copy of all these video presentations for free to see the greatest stuff from TGR Live 2024. So without any further setup from me, here's the incredible presentation from my friend Bill Biggs, recorded at TGR Live 2024.
Thank you so much for having me. I love what I get to do. I love the life that I have, and much of the life that I have that I've been blessed with is a result of this industry. I found my niche here, I found my place, and so I get to live out my sense of purpose, my design, my values, hopefully some of my giftings if I've got a few. So what you're going to hear for the next 45 minutes, hour, is what I've learned over the last 15 years, and I just want you to know this for sure. I believe every word that I'm putting up here, and it's been tried and tested. Now, I'm not saying it's foolproof, but I am saying that these are not just theories, although, and I appreciate Jay saying thought leader. I do research this stuff. I read the books. I try it out. I am a CEO, COO in a large law firm, and I consult with law firms all across the country. I believe what I'm going to share here with you is a critical piece to your success, and we're going to define success, and then we're going to jump in and talk about the things that I think you need in order to be successful. By the way, for the vendors here, for the business that you're in, these things to me are transcendent. They cross industry lines. This isn't just about PI law. How many folks in here are in plaintiff's work in some way or another? Okay. I'm going to talk from that perspective, but they're transferable concepts, okay? So I'm also going to go fast, and the reason is over time. I've been asked to do this presentation many, many times over the last 5 years, and so I apologize to those of you who have heard it before, although I do change some material. But I'm going to go through a lot of things quickly, and I'll just touch on a few. But I'm going to, at the end of the presentation, actually, after I conclude, there are a lot more slides that are nuts and bolts stuff, practical application things. I'm going to get that to you at the end. There'll be a QR code. You can snap it, and you've got the presentation. I'll send the presentation to you. So, yes, take pictures if you want of the images or of the slides. I think that makes, it's empowering if there's something that sticks out to you. But I'm also going to send it to you because I want you to have all of it. I want to share everything I've got. I want to share the secret sauce, if there is any such thing, because I want you to be successful. What I have is yours. And if it can make you better, then hoorah, I'm helping the world and helping do something that I love to do. So 5 years ago, after being in a law firm for almost 10 years and building a team where we had a lot of success, I was asked to speak at a large conference, and they said specifically, Bill, you're the culture guy. We want to know, how can you take this idea of culture that is kind of ambiguous and turn it into how can we actually make more money if we install whatever you think healthy culture is in our firm. I said, all right, that's a great thing. They gave me about 3 or 4 months lead time, so I really dug into this stuff and started studying. You're going to see some of the results of that. For those of you who that might seem a little odd, culture reimagined, the reason I say it is, or maybe it's not reimagined, it's imagined for the first time, is because we all think we know, we all talk about this idea. It's a buzzword, but who the heck really knows what culture means? That's what we're going to get down into today, and some very practicals of what you can do to build it in order to change your law firm. And really, if what success is to you, if it's just about making more money, I will guarantee you this, or Jay will refund your registration fee. If you develop the right culture, you will make more money. So if money is what you're after, right, the right culture will have an impact on that in a dramatic way. I hope you're after a lot more than just money. Money's great. Success is great monetarily. And this will get you there. This is a piece that will get you there, that will undergird everything else. But I also think it'll do some other great things for you. So, proof in the pudding, for some of you, these may be small fry numbers, but when I first got into the industry about 15 years ago, we took a firm that was about 20 people. We were at about 2 million, and over time, over about 8 years, we 12x'd it, 25 million. Now that firm is over the $40 million mark, also just had a $44 million verdict that we'll pay. Just some amazing things in that foundation that we built. So it was an incredible time, but I want to tell you this, there were no outlier cases at that time. There was nothing unique about the market. There was nothing that we did in terms of that was just some big punctuated equilibrium jump that happened to make those numbers happen. It was hard work, and it started with a culture that we built, a team that we built, and how we designed what we were doing. So for some, you guys may say, well, that's not that impressive. For some, you may say, oh my gosh, how do I get there? Wherever you're at in there, this is the way we did it, or this is what we got to. And that's kind of why people started to say, how'd you do it? What's going on? So when I talk about culture, it really, one of the things, and you're going to hear it today, it's about the values that you have and how you put those values into the people that are around you and bring true believers into your organization and then create them and invest in them. And yeah, it is almost cult-like. I'm just going to tell you, it is, here's what we believe and here's what we're going after, and you need to be on this train if you want to go with us. But one of my core beliefs about people and about your team, and I don't shy away from this, is that you must first truly care about them as individuals, as human beings. And you may be the strong type leader, you may be a person who doesn't even think about connecting with the people on your team. I'm telling you, if that's not you, you better get somebody in leadership who has that ability, who has that talent of being able to connect with your team and get them on board with where you're going. Because they won't stay with you just for money and just for good time, or just for, because they got a job. Sometimes, but not great high performers. Elite people will have other opportunity, and they will find it, and they will leave you if you don't find a way to care for them and invest in them and make them feel that their lives matter in this journey that we're on. And the reason I show this picture is one of my favorite pictures of all time. When we hit 20 million, we took our entire team. We did reward trips. That's something I believe in strongly, and if you want more information about that, come and talk to me. We did a reward trip, and we took over 100 people. These are the leaders. These are all the leaders in the firm that I built. I hired almost all of those people in about a 6-year time frame and invested in them. We took every single person in our firm, and if they wanted to bring a +1, in fact, if they wanted to bring their kids, we could work it out and all that. We took them to the Four Seasons in Koalina in Hawaii, Oahu. Right next door was a Disney Aulani, if anybody's ever been there. They could choose either one of the hotels. We took the whole crew for 4 nights, right? Cost us over $150,000. All right? And you think, wow, you were able to do it for that? Yeah, we were able to get it done for that. Right, because of the volume that we had. And this is just a few years ago. And it was amazing. And so every night at the first night of our team trips, I would always host a leadership gathering of all my leaders, right, that I had developed and worked with over the years. And we would have a little cocktail party. There's my wife right there, beautiful wife, and we would invite them. We'd get a big room, we'd invite them, and we would just come and hang out and celebrate what they had done, what they had created. And I'll tell you, you see a lot of smiling faces on there. I believe this with all of my heart. Every one of those people was there because they loved doing what they were doing. Now, look, law is a grind. Man, it's a hard job. Being in the legal space can be difficult, of course. We all know that, right? The stats will tell us that. But these people loved what they did. They were all highly talented. They were smart. They were driven. We chose them very specifically. We had a very specific hiring process, a very specific training and development process. But all of it was about making sure they had the same values that we did, that they were highly intelligent, high-drive people that could do the work, and that they wanted to. They wanted to do the work at their highest possible level. And that is the game changer of what I believe culture is all about. Because if you take someone, right, you've heard the phrase, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I would rather take somebody that is 100% on board with where I'm going and with what I want to do, and they believe where we're headed. I'd rather take somebody that's 100% on that and has 80% talent, but I'm getting all of that talent. I would rather have that person 10 days out of 10 days every time than have somebody who's 100% talented, who's a Mensa candidate or whatever, but I'm only getting 65%. Every day of the week. Every day. Because we'll go farther. So, let's talk about it. Culture. What does it mean? What is this stuff all about? The baseline idea here that I want you to visualize is that your firm, your organization, your business is a structure, a house, a beautiful building, right? The culture is the foundation. It's all the things that are built in that undergird everything that you do. If it's not built right, everything else falls down. The innovation, right? The electric comes through the foundation. The plumbing comes through the foundation. Everything has to be built there first. And if you've ever seen a building being built or you watch construction or you've built a home, you know how critical that is, and that's where they spend most of their time, right? They have to get it right. And if you've ever had if you've ever had foundation problems at your home or at your office, you know it's very expensive to repair. So, think of it as this. The culture is the foundation of what you have right now in your firm. And I want to start with you asking yourself this question, really. What kind of law firm do you want? What kind of law firm or business? What type of SEO business? Those of you who are vendors. What type of case management platform? Business do you want? What type of law firm do you want? And by that, really, I mean, how do you define success? What will look successful? What will be successful to you when you get there? Right? What will it look like? I want to tell you, when I first started, I thought that the definition of success, to me, it was all interwoven with the people in the organization and, of course, profitability. But I'll tell you this, you can have crappy culture. I wish what I'm about to tell you was not true. I absolutely wish it wasn't true. But over the years, I found that this is true. You can have a crappy organization that doesn't care about its people and doesn't care about its clients very much and still make money. And if you're a PI lawyer or you have a PI firm, you know that's true. Now, I don't think you can make as much money. I don't think you can be as successful. And I don't think you should do it that way. But what I have seen time and time and time again is that I can go into a firm and I can find that the people who work there hate working there. They resent the owner. They resent the boss because they're not treated well, because the boss, the owner, doesn't really care that much about them and they can feel it. And clients are not held in high esteem. Clients, in fact, are seen as a nuisance. Clients are a problem. In fact, one of the things when I come into a firm, if I were to come into your firm and you said, hey, I want you to come be my CEO. I want you to come consult for me. One of the first things I would tell you is that if you want me, then you have to be okay with me outlawing the phrase crazy clients in your firm. Nobody will say it. Attorneys, you're fired. I give you 30 days of grace. I really do this. You get 30 days of grace. But we are not going to talk about our clients like this anymore. Because if you think and you talk about the people whose lives they entrust this stuff to you, and then they, from the insurance company, you get those proceeds, you get a 33 or a 40% fee or whatever on their case, and then behind the scenes you talk about them and treat them like shit, I don't want any part of that. And you shouldn't either. And sadly, it usually starts at the top. I was shocked when I got into this industry 15 years ago of how badly we could treat clients. And the way I got this idea of no crazy clients was because the first firm I was a part of, after being there for 30 days and just sitting with the attorneys and the paralegals and all this, I came back to the owners and I said, hey, we got a terrible problem. They're like, what? We know we've got terrible problems, but what? Which one? And I said, all of our clients are crazy. How do we even function? How do we even survive? They're like, what? And I was like, well, that's what all the attorneys say. That's what all the attorneys say. And because of that, that's what all the paralegals say. You know what? I know this is tough, but I'm telling you, it's possible. I don't want cynicism in my firm. I don't want people who don't care about other human beings taking care of my clients. And so, no crazy clients. And I mean it. After 30 days, I don't care if you're our biggest, and look, I've been in $30 million firms. I'm about to get a firm to $50 million, I think in about 2 years, 3 years maybe. I don't care if you are the best, and I mean it. I don't care if you're the best litigator in the firm. I do not want to hear you talk terribly about our clients. Now, I will also say this. I tell my team, especially the paralegals, especially those on the front lines, I have got your back and I will never let you be abused by a client. So I'm protecting my team and telling them, look, somebody abuses you and we define what that looks like, because for some people that's different. There are some clear lines, and there are some others that, Sally's a tough old bird and she might be okay with Mr. Smith, who's like, Sally, I can't believe this shit. Blah, blah, and she's like, oh, Mr. Smith, it's all right. Come on, like she's built a bridge with him and they'll fuss and cuss at each other and she doesn't feel abused. Somebody else might. So we talk about that, right? But I tell my team, look, I got your back. You have a client that gives you problems, immediately come to me. And I will call that client and we will either figure out, the end result will either be they will get that relationship fixed and treat that team member respectfully. They will be moved to another pod knowing that this is their fresh start and last chance, or I will fire the client. And yes, even on big cases. And sometimes if it's a really big case, I'll become the intermediary, right? Because you say, well, this is a huge case. We do want to keep the client, but I don't want anybody abusing our team. So what am I saying? I hold the team to a high standard, but I also say I'm going to support you in getting to that high standard. High expectations, but I'm going to love them to get there. So you got to decide what kind of firm do you want. So here's the 3 things that I've decided for me. This is what success looks like in the industry for me. Number 1, high profitability. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to make you a lot of money. You should want to make a lot of money, because the more money we make, and then you invest some of it in your people, and you invest some of it back into marketing, and you invest it into your community, and you do those things, and we grow, then we can help more people. And then our team members can have better lives. And we can hire more team members and give them better lives. So I also tell the firms that I work with, look, you're either growing or dying. I didn't come here to die. I came here to grow. So we are going to grow. And that's painful for some because they don't want change. That's a whole other topic that we could talk about, but you can't have a group of people that are afraid of change. They want it like the good old days when there were 12 of us and we were like a family. And they don't want to get corporate. They want to, look, if they can't embrace the growth mindset, you got a problem. That's a cultural problem in and of itself. All right, so first thing, high profitability. Second thing, I want to have a team full of people who know I care about them and want to be with me for life. I want lifers on my team. Are they all going to be lifers? Probably not. Do they all need to be lifers? Probably not, because we got to figure out who the right people are. But I want them to love working and doing what we do. They must be true believers. So number one, profitability. Number two, a great team. And number three, clients held in high esteem. Clients who love us. Many of you read the book, Raving Fans. I want to create raving fans in the firm. And you do that not only with good service, not with smoke and mirrors, but with genuine care for the client. Do what's right for the client. So for me, and now fortunately, it's awesome to be at this point in my life now, in career, where I say, look, if I'm going to work with you, we're going to go for these three things. I'm going to make you a whole lot more money, yes, but we got to love the team and we got to love the clients, because that's what I want to do. That's what success means to me. And if one of those three isn't a part of it, then I'm going to be dissatisfied. So that's how I define success. So you got to decide. This is critically important. You got to decide what kind of law firm you want. And then you got to take ownership for that reality. And whether I'm talking to paralegals, to owners, to anybody, any level in the firm, I always say this: for your job, for your department, for your team, for the whole dang thing, the future of that thing, and for you guys that are owners and leaders in your firm, the future of your firm is on you. It is absolutely 100% unequivocally on you. Don't be a victim to any circumstance, to market forces, to a bad team, to a frustrating or dysfunctional leadership team, because you are the leader. You're the person who sets the tone. You're the person who has to decide and gets to decide how to fix the problems. Don't blame your team. Don't blame your competitors. Don't blame the market forces. Don't blame anything. And really, I'm not even saying don't blame yourself. I'm not talking about shaming yourself. But what I am saying is don't be a victim to what is going on around you. Own the future of your firm. Because when you do that, and when you see that not as a heavy burden, but as a full opportunity of freedom to say, I have the ability to make the changes that need to be made, to do the things, and I'm not a victim, I'm not chained to all these other things, because that instills bitterness, resentment, helplessness. My graduate training is actually in counseling psychology. I've had, I've done a few things career-wise over the years. Last 15 years in the law firm space. Before that, working with professional athletes and professional sports teams. But before that, I worked with trauma victims, with counseling. And one of the things that I learned the most was that the most damaging thing to the future of a trauma victim was not just the event, not just the trauma, especially if it was abuse, especially of the worst kind. It was the victim mentality that got seeded into their life that kept on keeping them down. And what it usually turned into, if they didn't do the extremely hard work of finding healing and wholeness, was it affected their mindset and they became helpless in the world around them. So they lived a life fearful that the world was happening to them, blaming the rest of the world, living in fear and anxiety. Now what sucks is that it wasn't their fault. But as some people, I've heard it before, damn it, it's not your fault, but it is your problem. And only you can fix it. And that doesn't feel good, especially when you've had trauma, victimization. What does that have to do this? Stop being a victim to your own law firm. Stop blaming everyone around you. Stop being a jackass that walks around out of your own anger and broken expectations about what's going on and how things aren't happening the way you want, and do something about it. And that doesn't mean go in and fire everybody. I came back from that conference and I'm not going to be a victim. You're all fired. Yep, exactly not what I said. Now, that may need to happen, not all of them. There may need to be changes. What I'm getting at is get some hope. Believe that you can do something about changing your firm, and then get about it. Get going with it. All right. The reason I believe that is because I believe this. This is one of my core beliefs over these years of what I've done in leadership over the last, really, 30 years of my career. Every single problem in any organization is a leadership problem. It's a leadership problem. I don't care if it's because the baseboards need to be painted in the hotel room. I don't care if it's faulty plumbing. I don't care if it's because the food didn't come out right in the restaurant. I don't care what waitress did this or what cleaning person did this or what. It is the leader's problem because they either coached it. You've heard this before. They either coached it or they allowed it. Once again, take responsibility, right? Take responsibility for your firm. All right, let's get into the meat of it. Here are the three things that I believe are the most common for why firms underperform. This is, and of course, this is in a PI context, but you can take that middle one and you can change that in a lot of ways. But really what it's about, this middle one here, if you're not in a PI context, the middle one is you don't fully believe in what you're doing. You don't have your why fully embedded in who you are. You don't deeply believe in the work, and you haven't taken that to absurd levels, and you need to. You need to be a full-on Kool-Aid drinker, values-driven person who believes in the work you do. And by the way, I think in almost any job in any business, you can find a way to believe in what that thing does, because almost every business helps people. Almost every business is around doing something, providing something for human beings. And that there, if you can get behind that, then that's enough. So, here are the three things. Number one, lack of design. You started your firm, you got going, it began to grow, but you never really stepped back and said, what do I really want out of this deal? How do I measure success? And what's the plan to get there? So you didn't blueprint it. You didn't architect it. You didn't craft a design. You didn't have somebody come in and help you do that, coach you through that process. And so it's growing into this thing, and you think this is awesome and all that, but deep down, you really don't know where you're headed. And that is going to lead to serious bottlenecks, serious design flaws, typically because a lack of design, right? It's like if you threw that foundation together in a house and it was just haphazard with unskilled labor, with no design, and then you wonder 5 years later why your house has fallen down around you because it wasn't designed well. If you don't have a plan for what you want your firm to look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to be in for trouble. Because if you do grow, which you hopefully want to, either way, either you're not going to grow and that's a problem, or you're going to grow and then you're going to bottleneck and something's going to break down seriously and you're going to be in trouble and you're going to have a problem. Lack of design is rampant in the industry. And the reason is because typically law firm owners start their firm practicing law. They have visions of being big and cool like they see on social and these other firms and all that, but they never really became business people. They're not really organizational people. They're lawyers. And you can be both, but a lot of times it's a different skill set. And I'm just telling you, I don't often see both of those work together. What I do see is, in the best scenario, is a great lawyer, knows how to practice law, they're the best at it, they're fantastic, they're building a law firm, and at some point they bring in someone, either a partner, a CEO, a COO, who is an organizational business expert, either as a consultant, but ultimately into a role, COO or CEO, and they say, all right, let's work together. I know how to practice law. I know how I want the systems to work, but let's put it together and make something. They set a design. All right, so lack of design, and we'll talk more about that. Lack of regression on case value, not deeply believing in what you're doing, and then a leadership deficit, which is the culture piece. A leadership deficit. All right, so let's define culture. I'm going to go through this real quick. The most overused, least understood word, the buzzword, just like the other one is core values. Lately it's disruption, pivot, all of these words that we say, what the hell does that mean? We talk about it, you can say 18 words in a row and nobody knows what they mean, right? All right, so let's figure it out. What does it mean? What I did when I was asked to really get into this stuff and give this talk the first time was to go and say, all right, who are the experts? Well, it's sociologists and anthropologists. They're the ones who've been studying culture for the longest time. So, by the way, and those who have heard me before, I know it's the same joke. I need to change my joke. But, guys, it's not Topgolf, every quarter. It's not breakfast tacos on Friday. Guys, just because, you gave everybody in your firm a rose on admin day doesn't mean that you have a great culture. Because it was probably your administrative assistant or your COO who did it anyway, and then you're like, how much did we spend on those roses? Why do we do that? Well, it's admin day, and people, admin day, what the hell is that? Why do we need a day for that? Get back to work. All right, culture. What does it mean? All right? Be nice to your team, have a fun workplace, go to golf, breakfast tacos, all that stuff. Well, here's what sociologists and anthropologists define it as. This is really good stuff. The customs, language, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. And so in some ways, it's everything. And that's where this can get complicated, but I'm going to boil it down. But really, your culture is everything. And the reason your culture is everything is because it is a manifestation of the things that you believe most, right? And whether you've said them or set them or well defined it, the stuff you believe comes out. So if you just think clients are a means to an end, then you got people all across your office talking about crazy clients, including you. Because your value is not for clients, your value is for the money that these clients will make you. Your values are coming through. You're establishing your culture. It will happen. You've got a culture, one way or the other. But the reason I say it's everything, not to be ambiguous, because that's where I'm trying to get us away from, but maybe here's a better way to say it. It affects everything in your firm. So think about it. The customs, the language, right? The arts, the social institute, the norms, right? The things you're doing. How about this? Common language, values. It's okay if we put values and beliefs together for a little bit. The rituals, what are the things we do on a routine basis? What are the accepted norms about what we do in our firm? Is there accountability? Is there not? How do we enforce that accountability? And then arts. There is actually an overlap here, and I'll tell you more about that. This I want to run through fast. Common language, every firm has it. Certain things you say, it's our industry. That stuff's important, but you'll have the slides, and you can reach out to me if you want more. This is the most important one. It's the stuff that you most believe. This is why that core value stuff, that other buzzword stuff, is so critical. Because to me, the values that you have in your firm, the things that you most deeply believe about the work, and most deeply believe about how you want to do the work, those things are going to turn into actions. Those things are going to manifest themselves into the way you do work every day and the way your people do work. And, this is a critical piece, your beliefs and values are going to determine your rubric, whether you know it or not, for how you make decisions. So the decisions you make about the next steps in your firm and how we're going to do this and how we're going to do with this client, how we're going to do with our team, and how we're going to do marketing, it's really an expression of your values. Those decision-making things that you do, all the decisions, it's an outflow. It emanates from your beliefs and values. So what do you truly believe about this work that we do? And by the way, coming up with core values for a lot of people is not an easy process. But I believe it's absolutely critical. It's not a soft skill. It's not a silly exercise. It's not, just blah, blah. If you do it right, it is a game changer for the future of your organization. And if you don't, then you might be successful and make some money. But you really don't know why you're doing it. You really don't have direction. And when you get a team of people that are so aligned with a set of values and a direction, you are talking about serious success. And I guarantee you this, for the sports fans in here, or even just fans of business or whatever, you look at the elite, you look at champions who repeat championships, you look at organizations and franchises who win constantly, or at least consistently. They know what they believe. They have values that have set the course. And that's why you have Cleveland Browns, and that's why you have New England Patriots, who obviously are taking a dip, but you get what I'm saying. Organizations that can't get out of their own way. For any of those that are Detroit Lions fans, right? Basically, anybody in here? You'll admit it this season, right? One of the worst teams in league history. But this new coach, he's changing. And you know what he's changing? The culture. And everybody says that, but they don't know what the hell it means. But he does. He knows what it means. By the way, he graduated from Texas A&M, just to let you know that. So your core values are important. The things you do, the way you work in your norms and rituals, the work, everything you do. And then this, the art that we do, what is it? It is the client experience. The art you create is the client experience, right? What your clients experience from your firm is the unique expression of how you are different and set apart and differentiated, another buzzword, differentiated in the market. But it's true, right? The art of what you do is the expression of how your clients feel about working with you. So this stuff is amazing. This overlap of culture into business is fascinating. So that's what it boils down to. But I want to tell you how we built ours. And I'm not saying this is exactly how it would work for you, but I'm telling you this does work. And I've done it over and over and over again, both as what I'll call an embedded CEO or COO for 4 firms, but also for countless consulting clients that I now have to take a very select list because of time constraints. And now I won't do it unless I can come in and do these things. I won't take a client because I know what it takes. So here's what we built it on, and here's what I continue to build on. Number 1, true believers. I don't want anybody working for me that's not a true believer. They got to believe in what we're doing. They got to believe in the why. They got to believe in the purpose. They got to believe in each other. It's got to be that way. And hiring is a big part of that. At the end of the slide deck, which I'm not going to show you all of it today, but I'm going to give you our hiring process. It's all there, laid out. You have any questions, give me a call. Hiring is one of the most important things you'll ever do. One of the next important things is how you onboard and train and cultivate your values in those people that you hire. All right? But if you get the wrong person, then you're going to exhaust a lot of resources trying to train them and grow them, and it's going to be lost resource because you're going to have to let them go. And by the way, I love people. I want a team of people that I can love, and I want them to be my family, but I also don't shy away from making moves when I need to make moves. I do it well. I do it respectfully. I do it with love, really, I do. But if they're not what we need to move forward, then we got to change that. That has to change. So, number 1, I got to have a team of true believers. So I want you to think about your team right now. How many of them come because of the paycheck? How many of them come because it's just a good job? And how many of them are there because they believe in what you're doing? If that number's low, it's your fault. And I mean that, I don't mean to be an ass, but I'm saying you're either coaching it, you chose it, or you're allowing it. So if you don't have a team of true believers, what are you going to do about it? Now, I say first, since it's my fault, I got to take responsibility for it, so I'm going to do something about it. And that doesn't mean come in and wipe out everybody. I'm going to set the course. I'm going to say, guys, this is where we're going, and I'm going to start reinforcing it, and we're going to grow. And then those that say, I can tell they're not buying in. I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going to sit down with them personally and say, hey, tell me what the block is. Well, these clients, I don't know. You don't know what I deal with every day with clients. Yeah, I do. Well, I can't. You can't ask me to. If that client says something, I gotta say something back. Okay. Well, that's not where we're going. We need to move in a different direction. All right. True believers. Second, and this comes into how my leadership style. This is my leadership mantra. This is the substance, the core, the culmination of years and years, even before this industry, of working with people. This is what I believe, unequivocally. I love my people, and I mean that. And what I mean by that, every person who works for me, I want the best for their life. That's simply what it is. I want the best for their life. I can't pay them twice what everybody else is paying them, of course. There are things I can't do, but I care about them. And I think they feel it. I think they know it. I think they sense it. Not all of them. Sometimes there's a block. Sometimes my personality isn't right for them, vice versa. But I start with this core belief that every human being is worthy of respect and worthy of dignity, and I'm going to care about them. And I also believe there are huge business implications. I wouldn't tell you this if I didn't believe there are huge business implications. It doesn't mean you have to be a softie. It doesn't mean you have to be ooey gooey and all that stuff. I get it. But just believe that they're valuable human beings. Like, catch yourself, stop yourself. They are not a means to an end, right? They are partners towards success. Your team members, and I don't even say the term employees, your team members are not a means to an end. They're not just cogs in the wheel. And you know why I say that? Because that's not how they see themselves. And when they feel that from you, you are losing relational capital, you're losing trust, and they will not follow you. Or at least they won't follow you at that full on, here, let's go level. But if they believe that you care about them, and by the way, from the business sense, I'll tell you, I don't pay the most in my market, never. I probably pay, honestly, 10 to 15% less than most of the firms, and I still have the best people. And I mean that, and you know why? Because I love them, because they know it. Now, when we can be, we're going to be super generous. But it's not just about the money. In fact, if you read the books, right, autonomy, mastery, purpose, those are the three things that people look for in a job. Autonomy, mastery, purpose. They want a chance to not be micromanaged. They want a chance to be great at what they do, mastery. And they want a sense of belief in a cause, a purpose. Give your team autonomy, mastery, purpose. Pay them well, pay them fairly. Love them, and you'll keep them for life, most of them. And they will climb mountains for you. They will go into battle for you. In fact, if there's nothing else that you hear today, the reason that, Jay and I know each other, that people ask me to come and speak, it boils down to this. I will take your team. If you turned your team over to me for 1 year and you let me have it, and I'm not asking for that, it's not a sales pitch, I'm just telling you, if you gave me control of your team for a year, maybe 18 months, by the end of that time, I would hand off to you, or I would help work with you, a team that is going to go to the ends of the earth for what we're about. They're going to give everything they've got. And they're going to do it because they feel on mission and because we picked the right ones and because we taught them. And that is an absolute game changer in any business. And I tell you that and base everything and kind of boil everything down to that because I see a failure at that all the time. At firms who have high turnover rates, who are disconnected from their team members, who don't have enough leaders, who the boss is resented, all of these things. I know it's hard. You might not be wired that way, but I'm telling you, this is an absolute game changer. And so here's the ooey gooey stuff and the reason that I deeply believe in it. And it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for your people. Now, when I do work with a firm, I always get to the back, as the process unfolds, I say, all right, here's the secret behind the love your people, demand high performance. It's, hey, let's hire people that we can love. Right? But I'm serious. That values alignment. People that can share our DNA or that are open to it, right? And here's the deal. If you do that, I believe, you get those right people, you coach them up, they believe in what you believe, then they want to be coached hard. They want, because they trust you. They want to be coached. They want you to say, hey, how do we get excellent? How do we get excellent? Let's move forward. They'll take the coaching. They'll take those moments where you have to give some difficult feedback, where you have to be critical. They'll do the hard thing. They'll accept the hard words, and you can demand high performance. So I'm a high accountability guy, but I'm also a high love guy, right? You put those two things together, and you're talking about radical success, and it's so much fun. You know how much fun I have when I take a team and they're, single moms and their kids or whatever to Hawaii or to the Bahamas, to Vegas, to Breckenridge, to Cancun. That's where our team's going this year when we hit our goal. And it's a stretch goal. Only one time in my entire career have we not met a stretch revenue goal in order to get our team there. Because I get the attorneys around, I gather them up in the attorney meeting and I say, damn it, we're going to hit this goal. We are going to be highly profitable and produce high revenue. And you know why I want to do it? Not just because of the financial incentive for us and you guys. Yeah, that's good. I want every attorney in this room to make a lot of money. That's good. But you know what? I want Sally to get to go to Hawaii. Because Sally has, and probably never will, get to go to Hawaii. And she damn sure is not going to stay at the Four Seasons. I want her to get that chance. And you know what? If she does, and we do, Sally's never going to leave you. because you changed her life. You're giving her, and by the way, in this day and age, you take a team on that trip. You know how that's going to spread on social media? You're going to pick anybody you want in the market. You're going to poach them. I just posted, I work with a firm in St. Louis. I just hired the president of the Paralegals Association. And she came to our firm because she hates her former boss. 15? What actual time is it? Okay. Thank you. So she's the president of the Paralegals Association. I'm not paying her a dime more than what she's making right now at her current firm. She came over, and I just posted about it. I said, we just hired Heather, president of the St. Louis Paralegals Association. She is a freaking stud. She's a rock star. I think I called her a straight killer. I was trying to be cool. Right? That post got 1,000 views. Last night, I sent her a screenshot. And of course, I tagged her on it. This is on LinkedIn. I tagged her on it, but she doesn't get to see the number of views, right? So I screenshot it. I sent her last night. I said, Heather, you've been with us for 2 weeks. I posted, I was so proud that we hired you. And I posted it out there, and there are 1,000 people. She was overjoyed about that. Took me a minute, right? Because I'm proud of her. And by the way, bringing her on, I also talk up the rest of our team, because you don't want to say, oh, well, we just hired this person. No, the rest of you guys suck, right? So there's balance, right? And there's design to it. So love your people, demand high performance. I believe that's the best leadership principle, seated core value from which you should operate as a leader that there could possibly be. I'm not going to go into all that for time's sake. Aggression, in the PI space, I absolutely believe in aggression. I have a full case evaluation system. Many of you know Chad Dudley or heard of Chad. Chad and I worked on this together. We were in sister firms when he was coming up with his MSV program. I call it FSV. Very similar stuff, but this is an absolute game changer in your firm. It's hard to do. It is not easy. A lot of firms try to do it. Implementation is the challenge, but it is an absolute game changer. And talk about profitability differences, that's where you just start to see massive growth. So I can tell you all about that as well. But I no country club lawyers, no goody feel good with the adjusters. I hate the defense. Sorry if you're in here and you're from a defense firm. I think that it's a racket. I think it's a total racket, and I think they screw people over all the time. And I love that we fight against them. And we fight it, and I want everybody on my team. And I'm harder, and the bar is higher to bring on a defense attorney or paralegal into the firm than it is from somebody from plaintiffs, because I have to deprogram them. And I want to know that they want to be deprogrammed, that they want to move over to our side because they believe in what we do. All right? Whatever you do, even if you're on the defense side, God love you, that's fine, but at least believe in it, right? I don't know how you can, but so you see, right? It's just in my DNA. It's in my core. I believe in what we do, and I really do. I haven't convinced myself of it. I look at it, and I see it, and I say, we're on the right side. All right, and then last thing, I want everybody in the firm to think of it as their firm. I want everybody to think like an owner. I tell them, walk around here and act like you own the place. But that also means clean the toilet when it needs to be cleaned. That also means pick up a sheet of paper or a piece of paper on the floor. Love this place the same way that I do. Love this place the same way that the owner does. Why? And I do this to every outgoing MBA student at Texas A&M. I give a talk about ownership mentality, this one topic every year. And I tell them, stop being adversarial with your employer. So the people who hire, don't be an adversary, be like them. Adopt their values. Care about what they care about. Now, if you don't like that over time and you realize there's a disconnect and you can't do it, then get out. But the time will come if you choose well. And this is, I'm talking to future MBA, like people that are going into executive positions or going to work their way up. I say, you've got to get in alignment with the owner. Because when you do, the owner will see it. And really good owners will embrace it and say, oh my gosh, I've got somebody I can trust. Right? Even though no owners or lawyers have any trust issues, right? Or leaders in here. No. You need people you can trust. So I want ownership mentality people. I want people who believe in what we're doing. It's similar to the true believers idea, but I want them to care about this place because when they do, they work harder and I can trust them. I can trust them. All right. So those are the things we did. A few things about culture here. If you were to boil it down, This is the one, if you're going to take pictures, these are the next few slides that you ought to take pictures of if you care about this culture stuff, because here's the tangible reality of what it is. I can measure it. I can come into your firm and I can measure the health of your culture, and this is what I'm measuring. In every person, and I use these fancy words, saturation of belief. The saturation of belief in every team member of these three things. Do they believe in our why? Do they believe in our purpose and what we do? Do they believe in each other? That's the hardest one, by the way, to get all the drama and the gossip and the bullshit out of the interpersonal relationships of people. You cannot tolerate it. If you tolerate it, it's going to crack your firm right down the middle and into a bunch of pieces. You have to have people respecting one another, and you have to demonstrate that. It is the hardest one to accomplish, but you've got to lead the charge, right? But they have to. I don't want people fractured. I want harmonious relationships. Now, smart people have conflict, and that's good. This doesn't mean no conflict. Not at all. It means we do conflict right. We do conflict well. We don't hold grudges. We're not bitter. We're not talking behind one another's back. We're not aiming at somebody else. We're not backstabbing. We're not shooting darts. We're not aiming for somebody else's job. No. We are going to respect and work together as a team. We can compete. We can have conflict. And we're going to have open discussion, radical candor, candid conversations, read those books. We're going to fight and unite in the leadership team, but we're not going to treat each other like crap. We're just not going to do it. And then belief in the client. If you did nothing but reinforce those three things, just think about everything you do, every mandate that comes down from on high, every decision you make, if you measured it by those things and said, does this demonstrate a belief in our purpose? Is it consistent with our purpose? Is it helping our people work together better? And is it showing a high value for the client? Without ever talking about or saying the word culture or anything, if you'll do those three things, you will have a strong and viable and powerful culture, because it boils down to those three things. This is the other one if you want to take a picture. This is how it works together practically. This is how you reinforce it. These are the practicalities of how you put it together. Belief in the purpose, belief in each other, belief in the client. How we hire, right? People that either do or can believe in our purpose, and how they treat each other. I'm looking for culture fit when I'm hiring people. Then we train them, right? That's got to be reinforced. That's the process. And then our structure, our leadership, how we function, our standards, our accountability, our processes, all these things, I measure all of this. I run all of these things that we do, which is everything that you do in your firm every day. I run them through the process of saying, is it reinforcing this stuff? And if it's not, we're not doing it. Now, this is where it does get technical. There is science to this. This is not just feel good. That's why I say this is not soft skills. This isn't soft science. This is serious business, and it's got to be done right, in order to get it right and see it make the biggest impact. But even if you try, even if you just start going down this path, you're going to have more success. All right, so why are you underperforming? Those three things. Have you designed your firm? The blueprint, I'm going to run through these really quickly. It's just what's fun. You think you've built this, right? You're like, well, we went from 2 people to 8 people in 19 years. We're an incredible firm, and everybody loves working for me. We have built the firm of all firms, the Taj Mahal of firms, and all the people who work for you and the people who get your services think that this is their experience. You know why? Because you didn't design it. You think that was designed? Look, I grew up in deep woods of Texas, and somebody did design that. I mean, this is probably some redneck's dream. Right? But it's dangerous, doesn't get the job done. It's highly inefficient. It doesn't have rhyme or reason to it. It's built upon making snap decisions to solve immediate problems without any foresight, without any thought about how's this going to affect the big thing. There's a lot that goes into this. So that was designed meticulously. Lots of thought, and it's a masterpiece. So that's somebody's masterpiece, but probably not the one you want. Design, you're getting the slide deck, but when I think about an organization, I break it down into these things. Culture is your foundation. Your org chart is the plan, the construction plan. Your people and process is the framework of the building. 5 minutes? Great. Leadership development meeting rhythm, we're about to get into that of developing leaders, right? We said the first thing was a lack of design. The second thing was lack of aggression, lack of doing the things that show you really believe in the work that you do, the manifestation of that purpose, of that belief. Aggressive on cases, aggressive on case value. Then the third thing is developing the infrastructure of leadership necessary in your firm to carry out those first two things. And then planning, if you guys aren't doing some type of quarterly or annual planning process where you take a step back, at least you and your leadership team, and if you don't have a leadership team, you need to do that. You need to be a planning firm. You need to have time set aside, right? And I could go all into the details of that. It's a highly powerful process, but if you're not doing that, you're hindering your own growth because you're not getting people on the same page. So you need to be a planning firm, thinking about what's next, setting goals, getting people aligned on those goals. And you can get this into, a freaking machine, a planning machine where everybody is highly aligned. And it's fantastic. It's powerful. All right, so those are the reasons we're underperforming. These are the reasons that we have problems with aggression. And I don't want to get into all that because I don't have time. But, country club lawyers, what I mean by that is, they're more concerned with their buddy who's a defense attorney and how they play pickleball, and they don't want to upset him, and they think that they're getting the best deal, and whatever. No, that's not how it works. You got look. Everybody in here knows it. The best PI lawyers, the best trial lawyers, they're a little crazy. Like they see things differently. They see value differently, and they don't play country club lawyer. They just don't. All right, and one other thing, I say, who's training your lawyers on how to get value? Because most leaders, most managing partners, most owners come in and say, they just want to hire an attorney and then hand them some cases and say, make some money. We don't like to train lawyers. So guess who is training your lawyers on value, on case value? The adjusters. Adjusters every day are training your lawyers on case value. They are planting into your lawyers. Your lawyers are getting beaten down every day, right, with what's wrong with the case, what's bad with the case. This is why it's not going to, and that's how you turn a lawyer who could be a killer, a straight killer, into a country club lawyer. Because all they're ever going to do is settle. They're never going to file suit. They're never going to litigate. They're never going to actually take a case to trial. And they're going to come up with all kinds of reasons why they shouldn't, how it's more efficient, all that bullshit. No, they're not aggressive. And the reason they're not aggressive is because they have unknowingly, and by our fault, been trained on case value by adjusters and the defense. All right, these are all the things that have to do with building in a system. You got underperformers in your firm. The number one reason is a leadership development, right? So I said there were three things. Lack of design, lack of aggression on your cases, and lack of leadership development. If you don't have an infrastructure of leaders in your firm, you're underperforming. You need to have about 8 to 1. 8 to 1 is the rule. About one leader for about every 8 people in your firm. So just think about, and a leader, somebody who has the authority to make some decisions at some level, has the information necessary to make those decisions, has the insight, has communication with you or some type of leadership system, so that everybody in the firm is being held accountable in the right way to do the same things the right way, to follow the values that you have. Without a leadership structure, it's you and the rest. And literally, we can do the science on this. Literally, at about 25 to 30 people, when a firm gets there, it's when the owner's ability to lead by force of personality becomes a detriment. 25 to 30 people. Now, it can happen sooner than that, depending on that owner, that leader's persona. But you can usually carry it pretty good until about 25 or 30, and then it will be mass chaos if you don't have more leaders in place. So I'm a big believer in becoming aware of yourself as a leader and developing leadership structures around you. Again, I won't go into all that, but there are a lot of blind spots that we have as leaders. It's a great book if you really want to do some self-counseling, Leadership and Self-Deception. Fantastic book, old book, but really it just basically causes you to take a step back and say, Are you really what you think you are? Like, am I really the leader that I think I am? I won't go into all that again for time, but you'll get it if you want it. You hired wrong, you train at none at all, or it's terrible over and over again. Our training systems could be so much better, or we're discouraging. Great leaders maximize performance. Anybody ever see this? This is a Simon Sinek video. You should watch it. Anybody ever see this? All right, real quick, and then I'm going to close up. If you haven't, this is wildly. Get the slide deck. Go watch Simon Sinek's. Here's the bottom line. Quick. We all want A-plus players. That means high on culture and high on task. I used to not say performance on this side. I just said culture and trust. But really, culture is performance. So this is a person who is absolutely incredible at what they do at their job, and then also they are incredible for the office. They love their people. They're a true believer. Man, this is and that's who you should be. That's who you should be as the primary leader. The most dangerous, anybody who's heard this before, the most dangerous, fracturing, toxic, poisonous letter on the board. What is it? C. You know why? Read the literature, watch the video, but the reason is because you have promoted those people. You have given them all the honor because they've made you so much money and they're so good at your job. In fact, you've got them training other people. The problem is they're an asshole. And they are toxic, and they have their own agenda, and they have their own things in mind, and they will bring your organization down. They will be a bottleneck, and you're letting it happen. The sooner you deal with that, the better. They are high performers, but they are not well loved, and they are seen as a sacred cow. And they are so common. If you want to talk more about it, come talk to me later. It's a problem, and it's going to hurt you. And it's also going to hurt to remove them because they generate revenue. But if you don't, you're going to be sorry. This is all how I would decide or define all these different ones. You can see all that stuff. I've given you the hiring stuff so that if you want, you can build it in the right way. Building a mid-level leadership team, that's the way it should look. Your executive team, your COO if you have them, and then mid-level leaders. There's your 8-to-1 ratio, and then we bring it down to this. If you want more info on building out the mid-level leadership team, on any of this stuff, I'll be here all day. I've got to step out for a few meetings, but I'm here. My wife's flying in. We're going to spend the weekend. We have a leadership conference on Monday through Wednesday in Vegas, but I'm here, and I love talking about this stuff, and it's not a sales pitch or any of that. I love it. So if any of this has resonated with you and you want to talk about it, then let's talk more. I go back. What kind of law firm do you want? You got to ask yourself what success means. Here are the 3 things that I believe cause the underperformance. You got to own it. It all boils down to you. Every problem is a leadership problem. You can do something about it. Now, I know I've been kind of hard on it, but I'm telling you this to give you hope. Like to say, we got to be honest and look at the problems, and then we got to fix them. And we can. You can. You can fix these problems. Snap that real quick if you can. Give me feedback. Please be radically candid with me. Tell me, you're awful, you suck, slow down, whatever. Give me a little bit of feedback. If you send me your email address in there, then I'll send you the presentation. I'm not going to inundate you with emails. I might tell you about a conference here or there, but you're not going to get on some list that, like the last time I did this, I haven't emailed those people in 6 months. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jay.
Test 1, 2. Awesome. Bill, don't go anywhere. I got a couple things. So you all agree, when I said Bill was the best, like he's the culture guy, I didn't undersell, did I? Didn't underpromise? So when I saw Bill about a year ago, I took a page full of notes. Like I took 8 pages full of notes. And then we sat down, you remember, we were in that sub boardroom or whatever, yeah. And I said, Bill, I got to get you on my podcast. And we went through all my notes, and we talked about everything. And guess what? I took another page full of notes. Did everyone take a page full of notes? Especially the people who run firms, right? Run companies. So some of the things that I wrote down, number 1, care about your team as human beings. Number 2, outlaw the term crazy clients. And it starts at the top. Very important, right? If you
if you have a culture that our clients are bad, or that our clients are, negative, like it's a negative thing. Like you always have to service your clients. Number 3, for the leader, I have your back and I will never let you get abused by a client. So that's a counter to that. If a client's too crazy, you got to fire the client. But you don't talk culturally about the crazy client. Number 4, get your clients to love you and create raving fans. I mean, that solves all problems. If your clients love you and they refer you, your life's easy, your business is easy. It's easy for your team, and it's easy for your marketing. Number 5, what is culture? It's not Topgolf. But culture is everything. It's a manifestation of the things you believe the most. And number 6, have a common language of values and beliefs. And then when I went through the notes, I kept seeing one word. And it reminded me when I saw Tony Robbins speak about 10 times over 4 or 5 years, because we were working on doing the marketing and filling the rooms for Tony. And he talks about belief, and he said, everybody in the room has belief. He said, I'm not talking about church or synagogue, but if you have that, you have belief. But you have to have belief, because when
absolutely.
you're driving, for those of you who are going back to the airport on I-95, you got to be confident that the people aren't going to cross over from the other lane. Like, you have to have belief in life, in the good of most humans. And so, I wrote down here every time Bill said the word belief. Where's my B's? I had a lot of B's. Belief in your design, like your why. Belief in what the firm stands for. Everything is a manifestation of what you believe the most. Your common language, your values and beliefs, the things you believe, the way you work, what you work for. Your purpose, your belief fits with your values and beliefs. I had a section on the true believers. You have to be true believers. The 3 beliefs, belief in your purpose, right? So the theme I took from that was belief. Is it, everyone agree? Anyone have a note that they would share with us? One thing you learned from Bill today. One volunteer? Come on, we got one right up here. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Bruce Silver. I believe that, and have, that nobody does anything for anybody that they don't like.
Maria.
So I am one of those people that is constantly falling on the sword for everybody. I get angry and frustrated like everybody else, but I wouldn't say shit with a mouthful. But in terms of maximizing case value and not making nice with the adjusters, I think that your point is well taken. It's just very hard, in my opinion, to get the adjusters to go to management to get you money if they think you're an asshole. And but I also agree that if you want that top dollar, you got to fight, and that's my takeaway. Is bare knuckles fighting.
And as much as I may, exaggerate it a little bit, I don't believe you have to be an asshole. And I agree, like, honey rather than vinegar at times. But I don't think that means that you can't be aggressive. I think you can be respectfully aggressive. And I think maybe sometimes it has to bleed over into asshole territory. But I think most of the time it's just they know they're in for a fight. Like, and it's the respect of 2 boxers, right? You go into the ring and you say, look, I want to knock this guy's head off, but then I'll have beers with him afterwards. That's okay. Like that, I'm totally okay with. But I would rather, I think everybody knows this, I would rather adjusters feel a little bit of discomfort and a raging amount of respect when they have to go up against a lawyer in my firm than, I'll be able to work with old Leon and get him, we'll get something worked out. Just my experience. So I do want to say, I don't mean, you got to be an asshole, but I do mean aggression, I believe, wins the day. And everybody, I love this stuff as well. Case value is a big thing for me. The other thing is, at the end of the day, they've got a book on you. You know that, right? I mean, they're studying your tendencies. They're studying what you do. And so just be aware that they got a lot of resources. They're working really hard to keep those values down, and sometimes you gotta take some hard steps to make them uncomfortable.
Okay, big round of applause one more time for Bill.
Thank you for listening to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. Please send questions and comments to podcast@10goldenrules.com. That is podcast@tengoldenrules.com.